students, we are going to be looking at inverse functions level 4. What is an inverse function? The inverse function of f of x is the reflection or mirror image of f of x about the line y equals to x. Meaning, if I have my Cartesian plane, the line y equals to x passes through every point where x and y are equal. So it will pass through 1, 1, 2, 2, 0, 0, minus 1, minus 1, minus 2, minus 2. So it will be something like this. This will be our mirror. Meaning, if I have my graph, maybe as a straight line this side, passing through anywhere as f of x, the inverse is, you are saying, if f of x sees itself in this mirror, where will it see itself? So just by inspection, if this graph was to look itself in this mirror, it would see itself somewhere this side. I'm not being accurate at all. So this will be f inverse of x. All right. Now, that's that. But then how do you find the inverse of a function? How to find f inverse of x? Number one, oh goodness, I can't say you. Number one, swap x and y. Number two, make y the subject of the formula All right, let's take an easy example. Let's say f of x equals to 3x minus 1 maybe. So now the question is find f inverse of x. How will we do that? Before we do anything, I always like to change f of x into y so I can easily swap the two. Swap y and x. I'm going to call this now y equals to 3x minus 1. Then I'm starting with my steps. Number one, I am swapping x and y. All right, let's do that. So I'm going to have x equals to 3y minus 1. Solve now. Number two, let me not rush. Number two, I am now going to make y the subject of the formula. So I'm going to have x plus 1 equals to 3y. To remain with y, I'll divide everything by 3y. So divide by 3, divide by 3. Therefore, y equals to x over 3 plus 1 over 3. Then I can now write it properly, or write it in terms of f inverse. I'm going to say, therefore, f inverse of x equals to x over 3 or 1 over 3x, the same thing, plus 1 over 3. All right, there's the other important thing to note. I'm going to take this down a bit. All right, now this is how to find f of x. Then what else are we supposed to know? It's very important to note that so number one, how to find. Number two, it's very important to note that the domain of f of x becomes, or the values of the domain of f of x becomes the range of f inverse of x. Meaning, what am I doing now? Meaning, the domain of f of x becomes the range of f inverse of x. Same thing. That's because x and y are swapping. So that's because x becomes y in a way. Because x and y are swapping. The same way, if it's the range of f of x will become the domain of f inverse of x. Now, given that short explanation, let us go into answering a few questions. All right. So, let's look at our question. Given the following function, f of x equals to, with domain this, g inverse of x equals to, with range this. 2.4.1 says determine the equation of g of x in the form. So let's look at this. We are given g inverse of x, which is equals to the root of x. We are asked to find g of x, which is the inverse of the other one. All right, let's go. Number one, what am I going to do? I am going to first change this inverse into this g inverse into a y. So I'm going to have y equals to the root of x. And then number two, I am going to swap x and y. Let's do that. X equals to the square root of y. Done. Number three, I am going to make y the subject of the formula. Let's do that. How do I make y the subject? My y is in a square root, so I'm going to square both sides to take the y out of the square root. So I'm going to have x squared equals to y. All right. Number four, I'm going to change the y into a g because that's what it's named. So x squared equals to g of x, or g of x equals to x squared. Number one, done. All right. I'm going to remove my numbers here just for order. No, let me leave them. Okay, let me do it like this so that it does not look like it's part of the solution. Step 2, step 3, and step 4. All right. Now we go forward. All right, let's see. We go forward now. 2.4.2. We are asked to give the relevant domain of g of x. Give the relevant domain of g of x. Again, I say, what am I given at the moment? I am given the range of g inverse of x, which is how much? Which is y is an element between -3 and 0. Y element of all real numbers. What am I to find? I am to find the domain of g of x. We spoke before that the range of g of x and the domain always interchange. So this is going to be the domain of g of x, but now with x's where there are y's. So the domain of g of x is going to be x from -3. Make sure it's x, don't make the mistake, between -3 and 0, x element of all real numbers. We have found the domain. All right. Check 2.4.3 in the next video.